Adam.
Yes, Sam.
There's something I need to tell you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What is it?
Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle.
No! Fuck yeah! Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle! Ladies and gentlemen, it's time.
Someone kill me now, please.
Hello and welcome to this very interesting edition of The Train Now Starring. This time we look at the 2000 Britt Allcroft produced Tommy and the Tragic Pharaoh. Thomas and the Magic Railroad. The story revolves around Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends under threat from an evil diesel. No, not that one. Or that one. That one would have been good. Imagine that one but with a claw. So, the story.
Where to begin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Firstly,
Confusing.
why is it called Thomas the Tank Engine and the Magic Railroad, or Thomas and the Magic Railroad, when Thomas is hardly in it?
Yes, he's not really in this film.
No. He's not even a co-star.
He's given a main title's credit,
Yeah.
but he's barely in maybe half this film.
It's like making Alfie, but just making Michael Caine appear at the beginning and end.
Yeah.
Right.
We get
Now,
so obviously
you've been holding me back from being pedantic all throughout this whole series.
No, I haven't.
Well, you've been fairly restrictive.
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, can I open fire on this one?
After me.
Okay, you first.
Well, honestly, this story just seems so... It was meant to be so simplified, but it was ruined by one thing. The Americans.
yes.
I mean...
There goes the American audience again.
Yeah. We never had it in the first place.
This is true.
I mean...
From a UK viewer's point of view,
I remember this film when it came out in the cinemas. I was 13 years old at the time. I just saw the poster Magic Railroad and I thought, really? Railroad? Magic? And then I heard that all these people were in it, which from Shining Time, the show which we never know existed if we were UK-siders. I hadn't even seen any of the show until about 6 years or so later when some of the episodes went up on the Soda Island forums just for some people to get familiarised with. And for a UK audience at that time, yeah, it's easy to see why no one understood what the fuck was going on.
no, we get introduced to Mr. Conductor.
Who the fuck is he?
Yeah.
Yes, who the fuck is Mr. Conductor? We get introduced to him via disembodied voice.
Yes.
That's the first time we hear from him.
That is the best way to be introduced to someone.
Yeah.
Yes. Disembodied voice is
Yes.
disembodied voice.
And generic song.
Generic
Yeah.
song. Generic song.
Apologies.
To the
Apologies to the
nostalgia
nostalgia critic. Yeah.
Sorry, Doug.
We also get introduced to Diesel 10, who is the evil Diesel in this film.
Who apparently has existed prior to this film, but
We've never seen him.
no.
Where has he been sitting?
Yes, where has he been sitting?
I mean, let's face it, he's not exactly been sitting in Crew Down Yard, has he?
No,
No.
Unless he's just been sat in some siding somewhere waiting for some stupidly evil thing to
He's
do.
He's just off the side of the set.
He's just off the side. He's just over there.
Sat in his Hornby box.
Looking,
Sat in his Hornby box since 1984.
just peeking around the corner, waiting for something to go wrong.
I want to know why he's so sexually frustrated.
Yes, he wants to destroy the lost engine and dominate all of the engines on the island of Sodor.
Yeah. Dominate.
Dominate.
Work that one out.
With a sandwich.
With he's going to see a show.
In case you don't get that joke, look back to one of our previous videos.
But yes, we also at some point during the early part of the film get introduced to Lady, who is the lost engine,
Who's faceless until the final quarter or so.
who somehow gained sentience while going along the Magic Railroad.
While Thomas doesn't lose sentience going the other way.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
one thing. This is one issue with the Magic Railroad itself.
It's
Supposedly,
bullshit.
yes, it's bullshit. Supposedly, as Mr. Conductor says in the latter stages of the film, we can't travel back home without the gold dust.
Yes, you can. You can just go down the railroad.
Thomas already transported Lily through the Magic Railroad back to Muffle Mountain, which in itself is a bit weird.
Who comes up with these names? Seriously, who comes up with these names?
To be honest, it's even worse than Vicarstown as a name.
Yeah.
I mean, at least that made sense. Muffle Mountain just sounds.
That's
So that wasn't what I was thinking of.
The other issue with the Magic Railroad itself is size. Mr. Conductor comes through the Magic Railroad. He is the right size for the island of Sodor, but he's obviously really small in the real world. He's a tiny, action man.
Like Tom
size.
Hanks.
Yes, like Tom Hanks.
Yeah. But when Thomas goes through the Magic Railroad, he is normal size on the other side.
This is what we need to determine. Is the island of Sodor actually smaller than the real world, or is it
just far away?
Or is it small or far away?
Yeah.
Small, far away saves lives.
It does.
It does.
Also, Lily is normal size in the real world, but is she the same size going through, or does she get shrunk down?
She gets shrunk down to the same size as the other characters.
No, sorry, I can't accept that. Thomas the Tank Engine and his friends are full standard gauge size engines. They are interchangeable with the main line, therefore they are not shrunk. Effectively, Shining Time, that weird place that no one has heard about, is full of fucking giants. That is my only conclusion to this. I've never heard of it. It's not on any flipping map. I know Sodor isn't either, but at least it's made interchangeable with real world places.
At least you don't get through it through a magic portal.
Exactly.
Of some sort.
It's effectively, Shining Time is at the end of the magic portal. Thomas is in the real world.
Yes.
That's making me sound like a heavy drug abuser. But Thomas is in the real world.
Sound like one.
I know, I saw him at the Midhants Railway when I was 3. And don't you dare dispel that myth.
I think I also saw him at the Avon Valley Railway when I was very small.
Exactly. He moves around.
I remember seeing him at the South Devon Railway when I was 5.
Exactly. So he's in the real world. He goes venturing off.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough. We know he likes adventures.
Yes. So,
Yes.
story.
There's a pile of shit.
Of course, we need to make some kind of mention that this isn't the original cut of the film.
No.
Or the original script.
Having read an original draft of the original cut of the film,
As have I.
If that had been released instead, it would have made a little bit more sense. It still wouldn't have been the best thing since sliced bread, but there's bits in it which would have just made a lot more sense. And the original voice cast, apparently Diesel 10 was supposed to be. If you listen to his voice in one of the original trailers, his voice sounds a lot more sinister.
Yeah.
Than this, he just sounds like a fucking clown in this one.
There's Boomer.
Yep, P.T. Boomer,
the human antagonist in what was the original film.
Yeah, I think had they not listened to the American focus groups and just released it anyway, then it would have been fine.
Why consult the Americans over something predominantly British? Now, either you call it Shining Time and Mr. Conductor's visit to Sodor, or you call it Thomas and the Magic Railway,
Yes.
and you keep it predominantly British. Or you go halfway and you have 2 cuts, one for the US, one for Britain.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's...
So for the British cut, would you completely cut out all of Shining Time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to happen. You can create a story just with Diesel 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the same way that it would have worked in the television series.
Yeah.
Okay.
And before then, the books.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sans Shining Time and Mr. Conductor.
Yes.
Yeah. So on the basis of
And Mara Wilson.
Yes, and Mara Wilson, who we must point out, this was her last film for 11 years.
It was that bad.
It was that bad.
Although, to be fair, she did say something fairly recently that not every film that every actor does is going to be To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes.
But obviously
Of
they're
course
not.
it's not, because there's only been one To Kill a Mockingbird. The majority of films made are not To Kill a Mockingbird.
99.9999999% of films are not To Kill a Mockingbird.
Exactly, to the nearest point.
Yeah.
No.
So we made jest about it though, but even she maintains that not every film you do is going to be fantastic.
No, exactly.
So,
However, on the
so
actual...
credit where it's due to her, not to the story. I'm sorry, just not to the story.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, that's an actor's choice. I mean, let's face it, some of the most famous actors have been in pretty crap films.
Yeah.
Some of the performances.
Alec Guinness was in Save the Titanic.
I forgot about that. He was, wasn't he?
He was.
Some of the performances weren't actually that bad, from the human characters anyway. Peter Fonda kind of looks like it's a bit phoned in, but
He looks like he's trying too hard.
yeah, it looks a bit better near the end, but it's
Do you
not.
know who I would have liked to have seen play that part?
Who?
Clint Eastwood.
Really?
Yeah.
I could see that. I could see Clint Eastwood in that role.
Yeah.
It's slightly hard to imagine, but
Yeah.
you could see it. You could see it.
And then, because we could have then had a nice standoff between him and Diesel 10.
Yes, we could have.
Could we please find a way of somehow cutting him in and just having that music?
Yeah.
It's got to be done.
On that basis, I would have liked to have seen George Carlin as Mr. Conductor.
Yes, and I think we'd also like to have kept
With his live stand-up.
Yeah.
Reel.
On a more serious note, I think we would have also liked to see Michael Angelis as James and Percy.
Yeah.
And other voices by Ringo Starr. I prefer Thomas under Ringo Starr.
So what are we going to give the story?
Right.
Nothing.
No. Well, I'm going to be fair. I'm going to give it a 0.5.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Lowest score of the series.
Even taking everything into account, if you even removing the Shining Time aspects, which I hated,
Yeah.
remove all aspects of that and allow for adaptation in the story to make it work. Compared to the original Railway stories, I don't like it.
No.
Me neither.
You're producing a fiction element into something that's established as supposed to be real.
Yes.
I know it's overall fiction, but when you introduce a fiction layer into it, it's no. Who does that? That's like taking Harry Potter and adding, I don't know, what could you add into it? And
And it was all a dream.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like doing that.
Basically.
Adding a fiction layer to Harry Potter just doesn't work. You completely erode all the previous storyline base to it. And I'm sorry, but this is the film that, in my eyes, started the downward trend that Thomas has been on up until the adventure begins.
Yes. We're just seeing Thomas climbing back up the hill
Yeah.
out of the trough that he was in.
Yes.
So I think on that basis, I'll agree with you. I'll give it a 0.5. So there's something there. Like we said, original cut would have been a lot better. Not amazing, but it would have been better. So yeah, 0.5 from me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technical aspects.
Oh, bloody hell, where to start?
Well, okay. Well, should we start with? I say at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start.
Apologies to the sound of music.
The model stuff, very well done.
Yes, done in very much the style of the television series.
Wasn't it all brand new sets?
Yes.
It was.
So
Some of which look exactly the same as the old sets.
Yeah.
So I
Points
think
for consistency, I suppose.
Yes.
so. In that aspect, very well done.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think actually there's a lot of individual elements about the technicals which, on their own, seem to work. The model sets, as you say, they look quite nice. They've managed to make the Isle of Man and the Strasbourg Railroad look really
Like
good.
the same place.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. Well, on their own, they've managed to make them look very nice to look at. There's nothing unpleasant about it.
No.
And the music, barring the generic song, it's not a bad score,
Yeah.
to be fair. It's
They've redone some of the original tunes quite well.
It's
Yes.
only when you put all those elements together, when you try to blend the live action with the model stuff, it just doesn't work.
There's certain shots where it looks okay and it's passable, but certain
Other shots like Mr. Conductor flying through the air.
Well, that's separate from kind of the models. If we put the models and the humans together in the same picture, it does look a little bit.
Also, sorry, is one of the morals out of this, go and eat random things that have got labels on them saying you should eat this?
Yes.
Yes.
Written by a sentient rabbit.
And who eats celery? I mean,
Who does eat celery?
yeah, but I
Send us your comments.
don't get me wrong.
If you eat celery, comment below.
No, don't get me wrong. I like celery, but I wouldn't just pick it out the ground and start eating it.
No.
I wouldn't pick a carrot out the ground and start eating it. I like mine carefully prepared.
Well, while we're briefly going back to story, even though we've already done it, where the hell was Edward?
Yeah.
That's a point.
Where was Edward? Did you see Edward in this?
I didn't see Edward in
No,
this.
he must have been at the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with a whole host of other characters who we didn't see. But
Mostly because they were doing the work.
yes, because they were doing all the work while all the other engines.
Did fuck all.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, we better find the lost engine somewhere. We don't know where.
And then they don't. She
No,
just
I
magically
noticed-
Yeah,
appears.
she just magically appears.
Now, I noticed that all this goes on, and the Fat Controller is nowhere to be seen.
Yes.
Now, previously, when the Fat Controller has been nowhere to be seen, it just kind of life carries on. So why this time do we need Mr. Conductor to turn up?
Exactly. Also, with regards to people on the island of Sodor, where are they? Literally, the only people we see in this film on the island of Sodor are Mr. Conductor, Junior, Peter Fonda, whatever his name was, Burnett Stone,
Yeah.
and Lily. That's it. Those are the only 4 people we see, plus a picture of Lady Hat and a poster of Sir Topham Hatt. That's it. So 6 people.
On the
apparently
subject of
exist.
Lady Hat, she's clearly been picked up from Debenhams.
Yes.
Yes.
She clearly has.
Yes.
It's generally well shot, and in terms of the real life stuff and the model stuff, but together not so
No,
much.
Yeah.
no, and that's where it falls down, and that's my biggest gripe with it. It's the poor interlacing between the two.
Yeah.
Now, okay, again, apart from occasional hands popping in, let's take Thunderbirds for example. You only ever see the puppets or a hand.
Yeah.
You never see someone's hand sticking out the end of the puppet,
No.
or someone walking in amongst the puppets. Do you?
It just doesn't work.
Until you get to Secret Service, and well, that's just weird.
Yeah.
But they're just no.
So, scores for technical?
Based on individual elements, I would give it a 1. But it gets nothing else for blending them together.
Right. I'm going to be a bit more generous. I'm going to give it a 2 on the technicals.
Well,
As you again, for individual elements, i.e. the music, the real life and models separately shot, they were all done rather well, but obviously it loses that 1 point for not putting them well together. So 2 from me.
I agree with those points, but I'm only going to give it 1.5, simply because I'm sorry, 2's a bit too generous.
Fine.
Yeah.
To you.
I think 1.5's a bit too generous personally, but fine.
Moving on.
So-
General appeal.
Can I start this one off?
This film has no general appeal whatsoever.
I was going to say that. For the first time this series, I am going to say this is not an appealing film.
No.
No, it isn't.
No.
I think that's pretty much it. It's not an appealing.
There we
film.
go. Moving on.
So 0 across the board for
Yes.
general appeal, or are we going to be slightly generous? I will say, as a child, I did reasonably enjoy this film. Obviously, when I was a lot younger.
I didn't.
Well, that's your.
I found it
exception.
embarrassing.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly how I'd describe it. Embarrassing.
Well, how old were you when you first saw it?
Oh, younger than you were.
This is true.
7.
I was probably I would have been 9,
Yeah.
and you were 13. You said.
I was 13 when it came out, but I didn't see it until a couple of years later.
Yeah, I think I didn't fully understand what was happening and how awful it was at the time. So I thought it was quite good at the time, but on further thought about it, it's not as good. No. So maybe younger kids will maybe enjoy it, but it's kind of an embarrassment to the Thomas franchise.
0.5.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go with you on that. 0.5 for general appeal.
Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree.
There you go.
We don't even need to ask recommend yay or nay.
No.
I would say, in terms of recommendation, if you're going to introduce your kids to Thomas, fine. But don't do it with this film. Because he's been in much better before and since.
So, do not watch this film.
No, no.
Unless if you're mildly curious,
Yeah,
then
then-
by all means take a look. But don't expect anything good out of it.
No.
Do it as a drinking session.
Yes. This is my thing.
I
Do
would
it as a
recommend
drinking
it.
game.
I would recommend it as a drinking film.
You would.
Yes.
It's only 80 minutes.
It's only 80 minutes, which is long enough to get well and truly plastered. Every time sparkle, sparkle, sparkle is mentioned,
Which
you
isn't
can
that
take
often.
a drink.
No, it's like
It doesn't say sparkle,
Okay, in which
sparkle,
case when it says
that
sparkle,
often.
sparkle, sparkle, then you can down your drink.
just make
Every
it a strong
time that
one.
Every time the lost engine is mentioned,
Yes.
take a drink. What else can we say? Every time the word useful engine is mentioned, take a drink. Every time shining time appears, take a drink.
Every time the Magic Railroad is mentioned,
Take a drink. Every time something is conveniently in place, take a drink.
we're doing this for you.
Yes.
Yes.
Play the game. If nothing else, play the game.
In fact, go and watch the film now. Play this game just to calm yourself after this, quite frankly, terrible review.
We're sorry. This isn't.
No,
one of
we're
our
not.
best ones.
We're-
Well, I am.
I'm not sorry. I need slating.
No, I'm sorry for us reviewing this film.
Oh right, yes. I'm sorry that you've had to go through all of this, but I'm not sorry about what we've said about the film.
No.
I'm not sorry about anything I've said about any film this series.
Yes. If you're
Well,
going
that's you're going to get sacked by popular demand.
Now, bounce back.
So yes, if you're going to go and watch a Thomas film, watch The Adventure Begins.
Yes.
Yes, I watched it for the first time the other night, and I was pleasantly surprised. I generally, yes, I did generally go off Thomas really from just before it went over to CGI. I didn't like the new stories. I didn't like the direction it was going in. But going back to the old stories and seeing them redone in a slightly better way, I just yearn for the original voices. If we could have the original voices with what we've got there, and and Henry being a little less wimpy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
go watch The Adventure Begins. We're not here
Yes.
to review that. But yeah,
We
go
should do
watch
that
that.
at some point
Maybe, yeah.
in the future.
So yeah.
But yeah,
By popular demand.
yes.
So yeah, don't watch The Magic Railroad.
No.
No, only as a drinking film.